Right, okay, so welcome. Thank you for coming. Really nice to see you. Thank you for picking up the commission for our talent here and a new music video for one of their songs. So talk to me about this. Tell me about what your plans are.
So first off, this is Are We Still Friends by Tyler, the Creator.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you'll
Do you have a proposal for me?
We do.
Yeah.
It is this copy there.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.
So if we just flip through.
Yeah.
So just a synopsis to run you through the general idea. So Tyler, the Creator's music video have an established cinematic quality and look, which gives us a good starting position. So we'll be following this theme that he creates, which is a starting point for us, and also a good stature. Also, furthermore, he will be placed in therapy, which is sort of following the law of the album, which is Are We Still Friends is the last track on the album, which follows his descent from a relationship into effectively madness.
Yeah.
So we observe this therapy, and he performs towards the therapist and then to the camera. So we'll be cutting between Tyler's head and his reality. So we'll be having this dreamy pastel environment, which is very happy, good thoughts, and then to where he actually is versus where he wants to be, effectively. And then we'll also be hiding things, relations and like Easter eggs, effectively, between other albums, which connect it, which is something that you can observe Tyler does do quite a lot.
So this is this is predominantly a narrative music video?
Yes, it's
Right.
multi-narrative.
But does it have performative elements?
It does. So when
Yeah.
Tyler will be performing to the camera, he
Right.
will be singing the song effectively to the therapist.
Okay, so the performance element is kind of the delivery of the lyrics.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any sort of instrument playing or anything like that?
No, there will not be.
So he's sort of the sort of the lyrics as the poem or the story is being delivered within that reality of him in a therapy session.
Yeah.
And then we get to see. What do we get to see? His kind of fantasy elements.
Yeah.
Or his imagination.
So it's a mix
Right.
between his drawings, because he's a very artistic person,
Yeah.
and also his head and where he wants to be versus where he is in reality.
And are those two realities on screen very clearly defined?
Yes.
How?
So we'll be using visual effects to transfer between his head, literally, and the reality that he is in.
Could like simple motifs of, because I was interested in colour here. Could simple motifs of just colour be used? I.e., the reality is very kind of desaturated.
So as you can see here, Tyler, the Creator's music videos, they're very vibrant and they're very colourful.
Yeah.
And you can kind of notice on some of them, he's kind of got like a little tint to it, and you can kind of see like an orange tint.
Yeah.
We're gonna base that off of these shots in his head. They're going to be very vibrant and like colourful, because him as a person, he's like very colourful. His music is really like loads of people love his music for the lyrics that he speaks in it. And then when it cuts to reality, it's going to be like very dark and different. You're going to be able to tell through the tints which shot is in his head and which one is in reality.
So a simple motif, but an effective one to allow us as an audience to understand where we are in terms of these different realities.
Yeah, it's almost going to be as obvious as if it's like the shots that are in his head. The vibrance you've turned up to 100, and then when it gets out of his head, it's almost like it's in black and white.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. So here we just have more shots from his music videos, and here you can understand the effects that are used. It's
So are we in this new music video mimicking this sort of approach?
Yeah, we're using very much of his style, because if you watch his music videos, it has a very like Tyler style to it. So we're trying to base it off of that.
Yeah.
Where you may answer these questions later on, you may have covered this, but where are so you say location of the therapy is in the studio,
Yeah.
and the dream shots are where?
Inside of his head.
Yeah, but where are they in reality? Where are they being produced?
We're a TV studio, because he predominantly uses green screen, but also on the field. The field with the bright green.
Yeah, because in most of the music videos he uses very like foresty settings, so he uses lots of trees in the background, and we're going to replicate that basically.
Right.
So
there
we can have
again,
trees in the background.
quite nice contrast. Got contrast in terms of colour,
Yeah.
and you've got contrast in terms of spaces.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that makes sense. Bear in mind, we did say that for some reason the production company said you had to shoot on Cirencester College property, which is a strange condition. But I am aware that Cirencester College does have a kind of a forest area,
Yeah.
which is like over there somewhere, which we may be able to get permission to shoot in if you want a kind of more literal kind of foresty, trees and things. Okay, so cool. Carry on.
So
I can talk about the artistic looks really, because I think Tyler the Creator does have a very strong brand identity with the way that all of his videos look. In every single music video, as you can see by some of the pictures on the board, they each have a very similar kind of look to them, or at least it's a very advanced kind of cinematic quality. So I think we're really just trying to replicate that with our production, because that's just going to keep the brand identity for Tyler the Creator,
Okay.
which is just going to help our audience understand.
So is it just him? Do we only see him in this video?
There's 2 other actors.
Tell me about their roles. So do we see the therapist? Do we
we
know?
don't
How
see
do we
the
know
film.
he's in a therapy session?
So we will hear the therapist,
Right.
and we will see the hand or the arm of the therapist, but
Right.
we won't actually see their face.
So who are the other characters?
So the theme of Igor is Tyler is falling in love with another guy,
Right.
but that guy is in a straight relationship. So we will see those other characters, and in Tyler's head he will be with those characters. Contrast to being by himself in
Okay.
reality.
So they'll be using the story aspect of the.
And from a logistical perspective, do we have people lined up for these roles?
Yeah, we've
Right.
got,
Okay.
we've got 2 of the actors out of 3 of them so far. We've
Okay.
got a woman, a man, and we just need the boyfriend.
Who is playing the main character? Who is playing Tyler?
We have Theo. So Theo
Yeah.
Farkas Blake. So
Right. Okay. Cool. Right, Carolyn, tell me some more.
So here we have a first render of what.
Right, so I took the initiative to get a little render, 3D environment of what the first shot will look like. So with the forests and,
Okay.
and the car.
So you're not actually using computer graphics. This is just an interpretation of how it would look.
Well, this is kind of what the first shot would look like.
Oh, so you are using computer graphics?
Yeah,
Yeah, this,
Oh, right.
this
Okay.
is in Unreal Engine. So
Is there a lot of 3D
there'll
animated
be quite
elements?
Yeah,
a few
it's
3D
very-
elements, yeah.
It's
So is
very
the foresty
unique.
stuff real, or is it not real at all?
In the first shot, that is in Unreal.
Yeah.
So the first 2 shots will be it's like an establishing shot of him travelling to the therapy session, because in most of his other videos he
Yeah.
is in a car travelling to the place. So we're using that. So, but obviously we need to shoot on campus, so it's going to be hard to get a shot like that. So we're going to have to use computer generated.
How long does it take to create that shot?
Well, that took me maybe 10 hours, and that's done.
So, bear in mind you only have 2 weeks to produce this production.
Well, the environment's done already now, so
Okay.
they'd only need new camera
Is it actually
positions.
logistically possible to create this video in the time span?
I think very much.
You,
is,
you
yeah.
believe so?
Yeah, the 3D environment's done. That's all the VFX we're going to need.
Right. Okay. So I assume you can position your camera anywhere within this space that you've built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he in these shots?
No, not him.
Right.
We won't be able to see his body, but his car is. So you would assume he would be in the car.
Right. Okay. Okay. Cool. That's very interesting. I like a lot of music videos use a sort of mixed media, a sort of mixed medium approach. It creates interest. It'd be interesting to see how your kind of 3D elements work alongside live action, in terms of how they visually stylistically work together. In terms of colliding these 2 kind of styles, kind of like how does that work? Quite interested to see how that works. Cool, Carol.
So basically this is the focus group feedback,
Right. Okay.
and we were basically asking what they thought of our idea and what they could give to try and improve it. And in the feedback, a member of the people we were talking to in the focus group, they really excited to see a video created by Tyler the Creator, because they're quite a big fan, and it was really interesting because they were really excited to see the footage, and there was people who maybe didn't know, and they were still very interested to see what it could be like, just because of the different ways it would be filmed and just how different and vast it is to other music videos.
Did they tell you anything in particular that you didn't know and now are going to do? Was the idea evolved by the feedback?
So
Was it changed in some? Okay, right. Walk me through this.
Yeah, so the refinements and the main takeaway was that the idea was to be easily understood.
Mm.
However, would be beneficial to stylize our VFX, as instead to strive for realism, purposely to create a
Right.
surreal effect, to make it.
So your intent originally was to have maybe sort of more photo real in inverted commas kind of approach, but they would prefer it to feel less realistic.
Yeah.
What were their
Well-
justifications for that?
Well, I think it's just because as we look inside of his head, it's
Yeah.
not an actual reality, is
Right.
it?
Okay.
Because we're looking into his head and we're seeing like what could be,
Yeah.
but it's not realistic.
So it helps to create that connection.
Yeah.
That this is a fantasy. This is a
Yeah.
daydream. This is not real. Okay, it makes sense. I think that's good advice from your focus group there. What else did they say?
Also about the amount of camera shots in use, and this was interesting to talk about because using more camera shots would create an environment where, I don't know, it would be more interesting to watch and engage the audience to see your music video. Because if you're staying on a few camera shots, people might get bored and look away and get uninterested in your video. But if it's like special and more interesting to watch, you want to stay for longer.
So what was so obviously that they're saying, look, use more angles. What were you originally pitching
So
then?
this was for the therapy shot,
Yeah.
which intended to be a long single shot,
Yeah.
with no cuts between that reality, instead cuts between the dream. But
And that's primarily the delivery of the lyrics.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
But to enhance this, because that could become plain quite quickly, we're going to be using CCTV shots. So further shots that will just add interest and depth to the scene.
And where is the location of this therapy place in real life?
It's TV studio
In here.
in here. So yes.
Right. So we would like fake a CCTV
Yes.
kind of shot.
Putting the camera high in the sky and adding some effects.
So you're gonna create some kind of like, there's gonna be like a sofa or
Yeah, small.
I don't know how it works. I mean like chairs or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean I would keep it very. I would try to not. I mean the problem with the CCTV shot is kind of wide. Do you know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
going there. But again, it doesn't have to be realistic. You know, it could just be two chairs, two spotlights.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like, look, we've built a counselling room. It doesn't. I don't think you
Yeah.
have to go down that road. It could
Yeah.
be quite surreal, and there's like these two chairs. But angles are, you can use shots very effectively to kind of tell story. I mean, if he's feeling super vulnerable, because he's under this kind of literal spotlight, then you can use angles, can't you, to kind of
Yeah.
tell that
Yes.
story. You can be looking down, we can sort of slightly be looking down on him. And don't forget the power of close up, the idea of boxing him in, literally, he's
Yeah.
kind of, trapped. And actually, if you light it properly, and actually, I know there's a particular technician that might help you, then actually you can get some really interesting kind of depth of field shots in here, where the darkness looks like it's infinite.
Yeah.
So you can have these kind of pools of light, just like, and then this nothingness, just in the back. So you could create some. I think there's a good feedback from your team there to try and create interest. But I wouldn't go too crazy. I would
Yeah.
probably shoot. I would probably be quite fixed in terms of your angles. Are these moving or static camera shots?
So the original shot will be moving,
Yeah.
but it'll be a very slow pace, so about a degree a second pan.
Because I again, not because I say it, I mean you have to do it, but I would consider at least thinking again about these contrasting realities. So it feels like the reality in his head is kind of more vibrant, is what he would like it to be. Do you know what I'm saying? And therefore he's got freedom of movement there. Whereas
Yeah.
actually in this reality, he's very stuck. He's very trapped.
Yeah.
So actually you could use kind of static camera. You can use you could use angle and shot size, but you could use the idea of him being almost trapped in a box, where he can't get out of that box because it doesn't move. And obviously, as it gets slightly more emotional, it gets maybe slightly closer, and he's more and more in the spotlight.
Yeah.
He's more exposed. Just what I'm saying. Actually, you could use angle and shot and not static camera to kind of really kind of inflict that idea. He's literally in a box. He's trapped. You know what I mean? He's trapped in the spotlight. But in his mind, he's free. And then you've got your contrast of colour. You've got your contrast of kind of realities, i.e. the 3D graphics and stuff. And then you also get your contrast in terms of technical codes of shots, movement.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Now, you could create some interesting things there. Is there anything beyond this slide?
So just quickly,
Because we are running out of time.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll just be following standard conventions of a music video, such as narrative storytelling,
Yeah.
performative lip sync elements, running a multi-story narrative, and having relationship themes. However, we'll be challenging standard conventions with a gay/bisexual relationship with Tyler, and also gritty and harsh imagery, which will be his reality.
Yeah.
And it's not the dream he would like it to be.
Okay. And I'd say I would agree with all those things. Okay. We will pull it there because we're at the time. Obviously, you can submit this to us as well,
Right.
so we can look in a bit more detail. How much was more after this?
That is the final slide.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we're almost there. So the timing was pretty
Yeah.
good. Timing was pretty.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was interrupting, but I was doing it on purpose. Right. Okay. Let's just pause that there.